Welcome into this Extra Point with Ed Lane, presented by Mountain Jax. For fresh takes on fresh food, Mountain Jax in Uptown Martinsville. Pete Rose has come out and said on 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh that he picked the wrong vice, that he should have picked beating his wife, drugs, alcohol, because people who do all that get second chances in baseball. And as my man David messaged at Edward Lane on Facebook and Edward H. Lane 2 on Twitter, which you can do as well, he said he's never sure he has agreed with Pete Rose until now. Pete's dead on. I mean, when you look in the world of sports, across the board, not just in baseball, where I get it, stats and records are sacred, but in the world of sports, we honestly don't care about the personal lives of these athletes. As long as you're not hurting someone who cannot defend themselves, it doesn't bother to us. It doesn't matter to us. When you look at so many times in history where individuals are emotionally or physically harming their particular partner in their relationship, how often is it that that other individual, whether they're afraid, whether they make the conscious decision, they don't get out of that emotionally damaging or physically harmful relationship? So athletes do get away with abusing their significant others, wives, girlfriends, or whomever, and will sweep it under the rug. But so often, you can look back upon the history of sports to find cases where athletes will just say, you know what, I'm going to do it, I'm going to act the way I want, and women will turn a blind eye to it. Jeff Pearlman, a phenomenal author, Sports Illustrated columnist as well, a couple of books he did were classic examples of that. Walter Payton's biography, where he noted how in that biography that Walter Payton's wife, Connie, wanted to get out of the relationship, and she was basically told, listen, it's a lot easier being Mrs. Walter Payton than Mrs. X Walter Payton, because Walter didn't want to get out of the relationship because it would damage his pristine reputation. Boys will be boys. It's another Jeff Pearlman classic. And noted how in so many cases, with the Dallas Cowboys of the early 90s, the bad boys, if you will, how they asked women, do you know your husbands are cheating on you? And one of the wives just said, yeah, I guess we kind of know, but we just accept it as a trade-off for the lifestyle. And as emotionally and physically harming and abusive as that can be to your wife, whether it's physical, abusive, emotional, or whatever, we've seen it in sports, and we've seen it in life. Anthony Weiner, his wife, loyally sticks by his side. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think she's, spineless and, soft and has no real backbone, but it's her decision to stick with a husband that basically treats her like a piece of meat. So, athletes, yeah, Pete Rose is right. When you look in sports history, and you see these athletes, they can abuse their wives or cheat on them or put them in emotionally or physically harming situations. And the reason we don't look past it, or why we will look past it, is so often because, guess what? The women do too. They don't have a problem with it. Or if they do, they don't want to speak up. Now, if they're afraid to, I think that's sad. But I think it's equally sad when they don't want to because they just want the lifestyle. Okay, then quit complaining that your husband's cheating on you. I'm not saying that, I condone cheating on your wife. I certainly don't condone violence and abuse. But hey, if you're willing to tolerate it because you love the lifestyle or you're addicted to a guy's money or power, you got to figure out where your priorities are. As for gambling, that's much worse, in my opinion, to the sports fan. I mean, drugs or alcohol, as long as you don't get behind the car and hurt somebody, or it doesn't cause you to act in a state where you harm another individual, I don't think we care. Even PEDs in baseball. As opposed to PEDs in football where it could physically be harming another person. And I think they're out there. The NFL and NFLPA are trying to crack down. But in baseball, you're damaging stats. You're not actually hurting another person. Gambling, that's the one thing I think that we as fans have the hardest time accepting. Gambling on your own sport. And I think it's up to the leagues right now to take a proactive approach and say, listen, if you want to go out and bet on other sports, you can bet on other sports. These guys are competitive. It was not uncommon to hear of Barkley, Michael Jordan, other high-profile athletes betting high amounts of cash on sporting events. And that's their decision. They have the freedom and jurisdiction to do that. especially on rounds of golf. I don't want Tiger or Phil betting on a round of golf because that's part of their profession to which I turn as a fan seeking entertainment. I don't want Michael Jordan betting on basketball. I don't want RG3 or Cam Newton, and there's no proof this has ever happened, that they bet on anything. But I certainly don't want them betting on sports. I don't want, boxers betting on the boxing matches or Pete Rose betting on baseball, even if it's in favor of your own team, because I think that's a slippery slope. But letting these other guys go outside the box, that's fine. And let's be honest, gambling in sports makes sports more high profile. Football is the most popular sport in our country right now. By far. Football is extremely popular. How so? Gambling. Fantasy football. Suicide pools. Weekly picks leagues. College football is even part of that. Now, they don't want to be a part of it, but it is. And so when I look at sports, I think Pete Rose is absolutely right. If he had picked another vice, beating his wife or girlfriend, a drug problem, an alcohol problem, he would have been fine. He would have had multiple chances in sports. But we as fans don't want our entertainment product, our entertainment source, the real nature of it to be jeopardized. Reality TV is popular everywhere. Duck Dynasty, 11 million viewers for the season premiere. Bravo TV is exclusively reality. Top Chef, Housewives, $1 Million Listing. MTV dumped music to go to reality TV. Music television doesn't play music 90% of the time because we care about reality TV. Well, the most popular and real form of reality TV is sports. Because if you put a camera in front of some individual, they're not going to normally be themselves. They're not. It takes a lot of practice with a live microphone to just be yourself. And people that are normal human beings exposed to that, they're not going to. So I think when you look at sports, we want the real nature to be real. We don't want anything to jeopardize the genuine aspect that comes from being able to tune into a football game and the thought in our minds that both teams are competing as hard as they can to win. And if they showboat in the process and entertain, they showboat in the process and entertain. But whether it's baseball, golf, NASCAR, basketball, hockey, football, soccer, you name the sport, the one thing we want is that to remain the most real form of reality TV. It's unscripted. It's unscripted. Oh, I get it. First 20 plays of a football game are generally scripted. But the outcome and what happens is largely up for debate. Oh, sure, we know Alabama is probably going to beat the living snot out of Western Kentucky State Tech. We know that LSU will probably manhandle North Alabama A&T. I mean, you're aware of that. But there's that possibility. It still is reality TV as it unfolds to us. And as much as we love reality TV, we crave the reality TV of sports. NFL, blowing away other products. When Jersey Shore was at its peak, 6-7 million viewers, the one cable product that could top Jersey Shore, Thursday night college football. And of course when the NFL put Thursday night football on the NFL Network, that did too. We want sports to be real. And so Pete Rose hit the nail on the head. As my man David said in messaging us at Edward Lane on Facebook, and we welcome your messages right here, Edward Lane on Facebook, Edward H. Lane 2 on Twitter, and right here at this YouTube page, you can make sports reality TV because it is reality TV. There's a genuine nature to it, and it takes us away from the boredom of our everyday lives. We wake up in the morning, we work out, or we get the kids ready, we go to work, we have lunch, we work out after, we spend time with the family. It's a predictable routine. Wife's mad at you, the husband's not doing what he's supposed to do, your kids are moaning and complaining. What's the one thing you can turn to? Well, one thing you can turn to and know that it is genuine reality TV. Not the Real Housewives, or $1 Million Listing, or Jersey Shore, or Teen Mom, or Catfish, or whatever's popular now. Those are all reality TV, and people will change with a camera in front of your face. Yes, athletes act more entertaining, but what happens between the start and stop of a whistle, the start and stop of a pitch, and the ball being caught to end the play? a bucket going through the rim. Those 3 hours of a sporting event are real. And gambling jeopardizes that. That's why Pete Rose is right. This has been another Extra Point presented by Mountain Jax with fresh takes every day on their menu. Mountain Jax Fresh Local Meats at 45 East Church Street in Uptown Martinsville. We're back with more Extra Points soon.